He runs a very successful Twitter space. He's a misogynist. Put your hands together for the very funny Andrew Kibe! Keep it going for him, ladies and gentlemen. He's already drinking in anticipation. Eugene Bogwa, this panel is quite interesting. Maina Munene, George Waweru, Andrew Kibe, Ruth Nyambura, Tai Ngashira. Like, was this lineup planned in Kenol? Eugene, man. We need to bring diversity. These guys were in Kenol, Panga in this show. Bramenya haya Andrew Kibe rostre. Tanga Shira has, done shows not only in East Africa, but he's also done shows in Dar es Salaam and Cape Town. You can check out his performances on Pornhub. Jojo Aero suffers from hyperhidrosis, okay? Which means he sweats quite a lot. Look at him. But at least there's someone in their relationship who actually gets wet. George Oero has childbearing hips. George can give birth and Bashir will breastfeed. Bashir is actually dating. Big shout out to Bashir Halaiki, ladies and gentlemen, right there. Bashir is lactose intolerant, which is weird because he produces milk. Ruth Nyambura, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, guys. Ruth Nyambura. Dating Ruth is actually really hard because you really need to know how to use chopsticks. You'll see her legs and you'll know why. Maina Munene on his bio says he's performed internationally. He says he's performed twice on Comedians International Comedy Nights, which is weird because that show happens on Zoom. Andrew Kibe, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, a big shout out to Andrew Kibe! I read about you a little, okay? And I discovered that Andrew Kibe was born, he was shot on 1st July 1976. When Andrew Kibe was born, the doctor cried. What have we done? Nifinye nisifinye. I think this guy is the only guy I know whose beard looks like Futhi hair.
Shit. What's up with this guy? This is a good-looking beard.
Andrew Kibe was actually in America for quite a while, with his boyfriend IQ Watson. IQ Watson was a very good friend. Set him up, bought for him a podcasting machine and an S550. Andrew Kibe just had to pay for it in the night. Check it, Andrew. Just hold on, Andrew. Andrew, hold still. I'll buy for you an S550. My name is IQ Watson. Hiya. Okanake. Whip me. That's in his past. Andrew Kibe is now back in Nairobi. He's so slow, he moved to Diani because he thought there are beautiful beaches there. Andrew Kibe says he's separated from his wife because she has a lot of nyef. She has a lot of things to say. So says someone who runs a Twitter space the whole day.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
On September 11th, 2023, Kibe's YouTube channel was terminated, something that should have been done to him as a baby. Thankfully, his OnlyFans remained untouched. That is the picture IQ Watson, so say S550. Andrew Kibe founded a platform called Yafrika. Their mission is Together We Fail. So when I say something, you guys say failure, okay? YouTube channel. Failure. Rock Radio. Failure. Twitter Spaces. Failure. Pasta. Failure.
True. Very true.
But to be honest, Andrew Kibe has been an inspiration to me, okay? And now I'm not even joking. I'm very serious. I have listened to his podcast, and as a result, I have failed in my marriage. My radio career has failed. My friends are fleeing. My friend, you are an inspiration. A shout out to this guy, Andrew Kibe. Dressed like he wants to be addressed. Put your hands together for Mr. Bashir Halaike.
Before I get to you, Kibe, I'd like to say a few things about the panel. Give it up for Emmanuel Kisiangani, our host tonight. Give it up for him. He's dressed really sharp, but his Jordans are fake. His Jordans are so fake, Jordan is playing pool in that logo. You can even see the chalkman. Tiger Shira's show, TMI with Tiger Shira, was cancelled after one season because his American producer was charged with sexual misconduct, which makes a lot of sense. You know, at least now we know how Ty got that job, you know? I was wondering, I'm like, there are so many comedians in Kenya, why Ty? So, Eugene. I just hope this time Ty is here because of merit and not oral technique. You know, we had to find a lady, Andrew Kibe won't try to fuck. For the quality of the show, you know, we need Andrew Kibe to concentrate. We just no distractions. Ruth Nyambura out here looking like a goalkeeper in those gloves. But Ruth Nyambura, I salute you. Ruth Nyambura has been the only female comedian in all the roasts. I'm afraid the poster for Hot Seat is gonna look like something like this. You know, this is... George Waweru, ladies and gentlemen in the house, looking dapper. Before listening to Andrew Kibe, George used to be a white woman. But now, through the power of misogyny, George Waweru is a light-skinned man who loves other men. George Waweru uses Andrew Kibe's comment section as a dating site. You know, he calls it Mundu Humundu. And finally, Maina Mnene, ladies and gentlemen. Maina Mnene prides himself on resembling Larry Madowo. I'm sure you guys can see it. Just, you can see it. It's, yeah. Maina Mnene is when your mom tells you there's Larry Madowo at home. You know? You know, to me, he's more like Larry Bila Madowo. You know? It makes a lot of sense. But Maina Mnene calls himself a child of the Mau Mau. Can you look at that picture? He wants to be dead and Kimathi so bad. But the closest Mnene has ever got to getting sculptured was when he was stoned today morning. Okay, no PhDs and degrees in the house. It's okay, these jokes are not for everyone. We are gathered here tonight to roast the biggest media personality in Kenya. A man, despite fighting against half of the industry, has been able to build a media empire with a cult following comparable to none. A man who has single-handedly made being masculine popular again, saving us from the scourge of weak men. A man who stood his ground and told the truth even when it was not popular, and had the balls to admit he was wrong. Give it up for Andrew Kibe, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew Kibe, you puny-ass lambistic piece of shit. Our very own Andrew Tate. Without the Lamborghini and the mansion and the muscles and the beautiful women and the millions of followers and the yacht and the valid opinions, yeah, let's just stick with Andrew Fake. I'm just going to be honest with you, Andrew Kibe. This whole roast was a plot to lure you here. Bahati, KRG, Kamenegoro, Terence, Akote, Edgar Obare, and Oga Obina are outside waiting for you with rungus. This was all a revenge mission. But Andrew Kibe is married on paper and a hoe in real life. Andrew Kibe is an anti-feminist who loves women. You know, that's like an animal rights activist who enjoys a well-cooked steak. You know, it's very, very ironic. But Andrew Kibe is a man who wears many hats. You know, I'm not saying this to mean that he's a man who's talented in many things. No, he literally wears many hats, you know. But Andrew Kibe was sued by NRG boss for premature termination of contract, which was not the first time Andrew Kibe here pulled out of something prematurely. You know, he has that quick release, you know. But Andrew Kibe says he likes ugly girls because they are good in bed. He says pretty girls don't even try. Even me, I don't love Range Rovers. I just enjoy the simplicity of a Mazda Demio, you know. It's just... It has nothing to do with the price tag. I can get it anytime I want. No, I just love Mazda Demios. But we had Andrew Kibe at our podcast, the Kisiangani podcast. And Andrew Kibe is the worst guest you can have. You know, I was asking him, Kibe, what do you think about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza? Achana na madem, bro. Achana na madem. We shika moti, bro. Shika moti. Kunua shamba kamulu ni ufala. I'm like, bro, why you? Just answer the question. But Andrew Kibe started his career ranting on a roof while sleeping on a mattress on the floor of his friend's house with no money, no house, and no beaches. And he did this for 6 months before he even got any fruits from his hard work. Andrew Kibe, you are a better man than me, because if I were you, I'd have jumped. Just end my misery here, bro. But this episode will be airing on Africa. You just have to wait for 3 days for the video to load. Africa hangs so much, it makes depressed people jealous. Nifinye, nisifinye. All right. But you can say that Andrew Kibe is a very polarizing character. You know, he's always trying to get a reaction, you know, a rise out of people. And in the words of modern day philosopher, Mr. Kendrick Lamar, Kibe is always trying to strike a chord, and it's probably a minor. I won't talk about Kibe's sexual relationships with a minor. I'll let the panel talk about it. For me, I just want to bring up this piece of evidence. The funniest thing for me is like, it kind of looks like the lion is sucking the soul out of Andrew Kibe, bro. I'm like, what the fuck is happening there, man? Did you eat that day? Have you? Andrew Kibe is always dressed in black with a hat and shades, you know. It adds to his mysterious persona. We don't know who his parents are. We don't know a lot about his childhood. I think it's fair to say that he sort of came out of nowhere, and that's exactly where he's heading. And finally, Andrew Kibe has lost so much. His website doesn't start with www. It's just LLL. Thank you, Andrew Kibe, for being a good sport. Thank you for agreeing to do this. I mean, look around you. Not a single empty seat in the house. They can say all they want about you, Kibe, but they can never make me hate you. Thank you for doing this, Kibe. Thank you.
Give it up for Bashir Halaiki, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I like the way he's lambered him at the end. Andrew Kibe is as wet as a nonsense right now on his ass shaking. If you smelled Bashir's breath right now, inanuka haga ya umse. You are doing so well, my brother. What happened at the end? Put your hands together for my friend Ruth Nabura!
Emmanuel is a good friend of mine. He's been doing comedy since 1984. Your humor doesn't cease to underwhelm me. Actually, he's a living example of why kids are told to study harder in school. Interestingly, we've had 3 tree planting days in Kenya. I know you wonder why. It's because Emmanuel is a waste of oxygen. Bashir is an aeronautical engineer. Give it up for the jobless graduates. Actually, he was to become a pilot, but because of his weight, the plane will turn into a submarine in seconds. Bashir has both Christian and Islam background. His Christian name was supposed to be Jack, but his parents changed their mind because he's a waste of an ejaculation. Tai is also here. Every time I talk to Tai, it's the only time I get to do squats because of his height. Hizi ni jokes tu kababa. Maina Munene is also here. This is actually Maina's first time at Aloy's Bar and Lounge. He got lost in Sari Center earlier. He was looking for Aloy Wines and Spirits. It's lounge, eh? Lounge. Me and him have one thing in common, comedy. But that's where it ends. The differences are many. I'm good looking, he's goon looking. I'm also in a much higher tax bracket. While his M-Pesa balance competes with his temperature in degrees. Nifinya? Mine actually has the looks. He's a solid 10 in Zimbabwe shillings. George dropped out of uni to become an unknown comedian. And that was his best decision. Whenever I talk to him, I need a parachute to jump from my IQ to his. No, Bashir, interpret. And now to the only man on this stage, Andrew Kibe. I know a lot has been said about Kibe, but I respect him because he has the courage and boldness to speak his mind without worrying about offending anyone. He's very authentic. He tries new things without fear of failing publicly. He also owns up to his mistakes and even admits when he's being lambastic. Huh?
As fuck.
As fuck, as he says. And through his platforms, he has shown a spotlight on so many content creators who have been doing amazing things online. So today we celebrate you. So first and foremost, the roast has been proudly sponsored by one of his enemies, YouTube. They said they'd rather pay us for him to appear on Showmax than on YouTube. I don't even have to roast Kibe. I only came to read the comments from the women on his comment section. This first one is from one of the pseudo accounts by Shosh, and I quote, "Thank you for changing my life," end of quote. This was from one of the Shoshes he was washing in the US. But he relocated back to Kenya and settled in Diani to wash more nyanyes locally. Now the price of coconut oil is cheaper than baby oil. You guys, you know. Nifinya nisfinye?
I told you.
This is the first time I'm actually meeting Kibe. I know I see he definitely has the face for radio. I wanted to call him funny, but now that will be an insult to funny people. Kibe was born in 1976, and in unrelated news, condoms were invented in 1977. Kibe is a household name, and he can't keep a household. Nifinya nisifinya? Anapumua. Since Kibe came to Kenya, he has hosted several unsuccessful comedy gigs. And the only reason he's here tonight is to see what a successful show looks like. Kibe has predicted so many things correctly, like the failure of celebrity relationships. But the only thing he couldn't predict is the failure of his Happy Africa. He has failed at so many things. He failed at radio, failed marriage, failed politician, failed app. The last time Kibe was successful, he was a spam. The only people who believe in Kibe are broke boys with no father figures, and that's why we have these male comedians here. Kibe nearly became a pastor. He even used to fast. Now the only fast thing is the receding of his hairline. He was to be a pastor actually in Langata, and now all the church members are in 1824. Kibe moved from praying in church to praying on 20-year-old girls online.
Sips drink.
Kibe is mostly in hats and shades every time I see him. But I've seen him several times without them, and it reminds me of a football. All round, but hakuna kitu ndani. Every time he opens his mouth, it makes me think his parents were siblings. Senyi ndio msema nifinye? With his track record of failures, his existence is now just a certificate of participation. All in all, we may have made fun of him, but he's been a good sport. May you remember these good things I'm saying when you come here. Eh? Mi si mubaya, ni wale watu wameni surround ndio wabaya. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. My name is Ruth Nyambura.
She's done a good job. Sidio? Come on, ladies. I want to hear you. She's done a good job, right? Yeah. Give it up for the hair, guys. Come on, guys. Yeah. She knew Andrew Kibe was here, so she came with her own whip. Okana Kefwa! Put your hands together for the very hilarious, all the way from Laikipia, Maina Munene!
Thank you so much, Emmanuel Kisiangani. You guys look amazing, obviously. I can see a few famous people. Give it up for Tosh Gitonga in the building. For those of you who don't know Tosh, he is the director behind the famous film Nairobi Half-Life. You guys know Nairobi Half-Life? Yeah, which is amazing. He even has a series called Volume. And not to be a spoiler or anything, but the best way to watch Volume is with the volume at 0. Also, give it up for Eugene Bugwa. Eugene Bugwa is a genius. He brought together a panel consisting of comedians with a failed TV career, with a failed radio career, a failed aeronautical engineer, and a blind comedian, and a failed YouTuber, with the hope of creating a successful show. What could go wrong? But we are here today to roast a failed YouTuber, failed radio presenter, failed husband, failed comedian. Give it up for Emmanuel Kisiangani, ladies and gentlemen. Emmanuel Kisiangani is a divorcee who used to be a radio presenter at Spice FM, which is ironic because he could not spice up his marriage.
It's a fake, my nigga.
Since Emmanuel Kisiangani was fired from Spice FM has gone to become one of the most listened to radio stations in Kenya. And Kiasiangani has gone on to become a host to one of the least listened to podcasts in Kenya. Kisiangani looks like what if Andrew Kibe and Robert Burale had a baby. Tai went to South Africa to perform stand-up comedy with the hopes of building his brand. But the only thing he came back with was AIDS. Okay, I'm joking. Tai doesn't have AIDS, just HIV. George Waweru is what Kibe would call a lambistic piece of shit. Mwanaume unakuwaje light skin, aje. George Waweru looks like Trevor Noah without the fame or the talent. He looks like Trevor Noah. George looks like he drinks okra water. And now to my favorite comedian, Ruth Nyambura. Yeah, Ruth is dressed like a mermaid from Maragua. And thank you so much for taking time off being a basmati babe to be here tonight.
Appreciate it.
Ruth looks like the kind of woman you introduce to your boys and they say, as long as you're happy, bro. And now to the man of the hour. A man who is the only person in history to monetize being that uncle who never amounted to anything. A man who went from shooting rooftop videos in Langata to shooting videos in a garage in Texas and back to shooting videos in a basement in Rongai. A man who has tried everything in life, being a radio presenter, a YouTuber, a politician, being a father. Kibe has even attempted committing suicide and failed at all of them. And if there's one area, Kibe, that we would like you to succeed in, yeah, it's the committing suicide part. Yeah, we are tired of looking at your face. But Kibe once said that a broke man should never have an opinion about anything, that he should just shut the fuck up. And it's sad to announce that today Kibe will not be saying anything in this show. Kibe's zodiac sign is Cancer, which also happens to be what he is to society. Kibe was a motivational speaker, and I listened to his motivational advice and went from living in Westlands to living in Mukuru kwa Jenga. Kibe makes content for sex-starved men. That's to say, Kibe makes content for himself. And Eugene Bogua. Kibe once thought that he would die from AIDS. Do you know how terrible of a person when even AIDS doesn't want to be associated with your death? Yeah, AIDS was like, yo, sisi hatuko hapo. Kibe says that he left radio because hanging around women all the time made him lose his masculinity and his homosexuality tendencies. I just have one question for you, Kibe. Why are you gay? And I'm gonna list a few of the things Kibe has done, and you guys will help me ask him the question, why are you gay? Kibe's greatest advice to men is, wachana na madem. Kibe. Kibe went to Texas and moved in with his male best friend, IQ Watson. Kibe. Kibe, I suspect, has a crush on Bahati. He has even gone ahead to give Bahati a nickname, Kabahanye. And we can all agree that's a name you give someone you want to fuck. So again, Kibe. Kibe once said he likes Indians because they do not bombard anyone with their religious beliefs, which is ironic for someone whose claim to fame was bombarding people with his sexist beliefs. Credit where it's due. Kibe is actually a smart man. His IQ is Watson.
Oh, that hurt, my guy. That was painful, my guy.
Kibe failed to pay a loan of 2.5 million shillings, and I honestly blame the person who gave him the money. This is not the face of a man who can pay back 2.5 million Kenya shillings. This is not the face of a man who can pay 250 shillings. Like if gonorrhea and syphilis had a face, this would be it. This is the last face you see before you lose your phone. But one thing we cannot take away from Kibe is your work ethic, your hard work, and your consistency. I would say I want to be like you when I grow up, but I'd be lying. But yeah, you're good. Thank you so much for letting us do this.
Thank you, my man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. We're going to put him on more roasts so that he can afford an outfit. Put your hands together for our light-skinned brother, Mr. George Wawero!
Emmanuel also does private events, so if you have someone you hate, you can always recommend his services. Stand-up, emceeing, radio, entrepreneurship. Is there anything you won't disappoint your parents with? Bashir, what can I say about Bashir that hasn't already been whispered in the corridors of irrelevance? Apart from comedy, Bashir has also failed at podcasting. He's the co-host of the Kisangani podcast, and he's also a regular feature on the Sandwich podcast, which is also what they pay him in. Good to have Ruth here. Some of you might be thinking it's because we didn't want to have a male-only dominated lineup. Actually, that's not true. Something you don't know is that Ruth has the biggest dick in comedy. That's the only way Kibe would allow her to be on this roast. Ruth's dick is so big it has an elbow. I saw it at the urinals. Ruth's dick is so big it will also come up here and roast Andrew Kibe later on. That's how big. Maina Monene is also here, despite everyone wanting to have a successful roast. I don't know why we have this guy here. Although I have to be careful what I say about Maina Monene, because I've been told a lot of his fun is here tonight. One thing you can't take away from Maina Monene is his consistency. Maina started from the bottom and he's still there. Tai Ngashira. I hate to say this, Tai is a ladies' man. Men wish they were him and women wish he had a more serious career. Tai is a womanizer. He got into comedy because it's a largely untapped market. That's the only reason. We're here to roast the one and only Andrew Kibe, the poster boy for toxic masculinity, Kenya's very own human megaphone, a walking example of when keeping it real goes wrong. Kibe has built a career on saying stuff that most people are smart enough to keep to themselves. But at least he's consistent, consistently unemployed, and consistently keeping his ex-wife praying for his downfall. So let's get into it. Andrew Kibe was born in 1976, which makes him too old for this shit he does. It's just... Little is known about his childhood, but the people he grew up with say as a kid, he liked playing childhood games such as Chababa and Chalambistic Mummies, hide and seek alpha male status, and of course, tug of hose. Even his education is shrouded in mystery. However, we do know that he attended college and was the first person to be awarded a bachelor's degree in gender and women disempowerment. He graduated with a first-class honors thanks to a thesis he wrote titled The Red Pill Realities, the Lambistic Nature of Modern Mummies. Kibe is what happens when you give a 40-year-old man a podcast and no one in his life brave enough to tell him to stop. When questioned about his faith on the Mic Check podcast, he says he's agnostic. You know, he doesn't believe in anything or anyone but himself. And I quote, "I wake up and worship myself," which is a weird way of saying I beat my meat every morning. When the 7 trumpets are sounded on Judgment Day, Jesus will find Kibe blowing his own. His media journey started at Energy Radio, which is funny because no one has the energy to listen to you anymore. Of course, his contract was terminated barely a year into the gig, but luckily Kiss 100 hired him. But in 2021, he quit to focus on misogyny and personal vendettas against 20-year-olds. Many were shocked when he tendered his resignation letter, mostly because no one knew he could write. He ended up losing his house, his car, and friends. You know, losing his house and his car was tough, but losing his friends was just another Tuesday for Kibe. Kibe is the type of man to intentionally lose his job, his house, and his car just so that his ex-wife can get nothing in the divorce.
True. Ask me.
The fact that you were once married is mind-boggling. That proposal must have been one to witness. You know, Kibe with his sunglasses, he goes down on one knee, then remembers women are the ones who should submit, so he gets up. Instead of a ring, he pulls out a hat written Kife, and then pops the question, "Do you want to join the winning team?" She says yes, and he hugs her and whispers, "I thought so." For better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till woke feminists do us part, was part of Kibe's vows. I hear Kibe didn't have a best man at his wedding because only Kinothias believe another man is superior to them. At one point, Kibe said he had not seen his son in 7 years, which turns out is the best thing he did for that kid. In the divorce, his ex-wife took half of everything he owned. She took Puny and Lambistic. You kept Kenothia and Kabahanye. Of course, the media personality suffered another major blow after his YouTube channel was terminated. And as you all know, that was one of his major sources of income, followed closely by donations from the Tate brothers. YouTube has hosted ISIS beheadings, but your content is where it draws the line. Instead of YouTube's "this video was not made for kids," Kibe thinks that this video was not made for anyone with a present dad. Kibe attempted to enter politics in 2013 by running for the Langata Member of Parliament seat. But unfortunately, his campaign slogan, "Make Kenothia Great Again," did not resonate with voters. Kibe also tried his hand at stand-up comedy and failed miserably. Some people in the attendance called it unwatchable, but most people called an Uber to go home. And finally, Kibe relocated to Texas, one of the states big enough for his ego. Texas is a gun-loving state, and for someone used to shooting themselves in the foot, Texas was a second home for Kibe. Unfortunately, he's now back in Kenyan soil, living in Diani, because when you can't get white beaches in Texas, you can as well try Diani. Hate him or hate him, you got to admit, Kibe knows how to keep people talking. It's refreshing to see someone who speaks his mind even when he knows he's going to ruffle some feathers. Your work ethic is something to be admired, and despite all the noise, you have carved out a lane for yourself, and that is truly admirable. Thank you for being a good sport.
Thank you, my man. Thank you, my man. Thank you, my man.
To show dominance, IQ Watson wears Kibe's hat. Ni agent akupatia ya S550. Keep it going for a comedian by day, lawyer by night. Put your hands together for Mr. Tiger Chero.
Thank you very much. Yo. Shush, the roast is hitting up. Even the audience roasts me. Before I came here, I was on stage, I had this girl tell her friend, that guy looks like someone tried to draw Ali Hassan Joho in a hurry. And I was like, yeah, I kind of see it. It's kind of sad. But give it up for the panelists who are here with us today. Mina was not supposed to be part of the roast. The only way Kibe would come is if we promised him there'd be a minor next to him. George Wawero is here as well, man. Like, George looks like OJ from Tahiti High had a baby with Triomio. So these are the guys, I see them once in a while. So Ruth Nyambura, Emmanuel Kisiangani, Bashir Halaiki, that's the joke. Anyway. Before I start, I'd like to apologize to all Andrew Kibe fans, which include, but are not limited to, Bolt drivers, Aremi's customers, Americs, King Kalala for some reason, guys who don't like when girls wear makeups, Subaru owners, and 43-year-old men who still live with their parents in Langata. Hi, Kisiangani. And men who are yet to get over that girl who broke their heart in Form 2. Now, Kibe, you and Mina should hold a seminar, Mina Kageni that is, so that your key constituents, bitter men and bitter women, can find each other and leave the rest of us alone, please. So Kibe turns 50 in 2 years. Your age mates are building business empires, but you are still calling women chiles and lales. Kibe, you're that weird uncle in the family we tell all our cousins to avoid at Christmas. How do you still call a penis deki? Kibe, your parents are proof that some sexual positions can produce ugly babies. You walked on stage, and with every stare you took, we could hear the sound of vaginas drying up. My zodiac sign is Cancer. Kibe's sign is gonorrhea. They showed us a picture of your kitchen, and seeing it, women who come over are not just at risk of STD, rather have to worry about H. pylori, tetanus, and cholera as well. So, the last woman who slept with you sent in her comments before the show, and I quote, "It happened in 1997, but I still smell like leftover Pilsner and Chipomwitu. Yuck." Kibe does not care, of course. I mean, his type is not here today. Alloy does not allow under 21s. And Naivas R. Kelly here prefers them before their brains develop. Kibe reminds us that it's actually Kife, okay? He reminds us you're supposed to pronounce the B as an F. So let me just say, you're a fitch. The amount of jacking off you've done in your life, anyone who shook your hand today probably has 48-year-old pubic hair under their nails. You. Speaking of, Mr. Usichipake mafuta, kwani wewe ni dem? Ashy elbows and ashy face. Your dick is probably the only moisturized part of your body. Shout out to Aremis. Kibe has never fully divorced his wife, ever. And I feel sorry for her. She can't go to court because she'll have to admit to being the only woman who saw you naked on purpose. When Kibe's sister died, Kibe didn't shed a tear because they didn't get along. And according to him, people grieve differently. And the way Kibe grieves is by shouting Kenothia every single time he comes. Sijamaliza. You ran for MP, people said no. You tried to be a pastor, the congregation said no. You wanted to see your son, your wife said no. I see why you struggle with consent. I mean, honestly, are you okay? When was the last yes you had? Kibe is the answer to what if Rick Ross lost fat, but all the loose skin stayed. It's true. Kibe supported the Gen Z movement, and it saddens me every time I see the names of those who died. But it saddens me more that the police missed Kilimani Mojojojo over here. Kibe, you're an inspiration to many men out there. Thousands of them look up to you. But not me. My father hugged me. Andrew Kibe, that's how you do stand-up comedy. Thank you very much for being a sport and being here and taking it like a man, as you do with IQ Whiteson. But thank you. Thank you very much.
So guys, we're gonna welcome this guy, and he's really a good sport for doing this. Thank you so much for using the bus all the way from Mombasa to come here. Getting here on time for this show. Put your hands together for our star of the night, Mr. Andrew Kibe!
Thank you, man. That was painful. But thank God for ChatGPT. You can ChatGPT jokes nowadays, you know that. You don't really have to be a comedian. Tell me something about Andrew Kibe. Something funny. And then this happens. Yeah. They think they can roast me. They have the right to roast me. These puny little shits. What the fuck are these guys? And they can roast me. They call me here, they sit me down. Give me one beer. You saw how I was trying to... Motherfuckers. I need to be high to pretend I'm laughing. It's funny. It's funny. You're a funny guy. And I'll tell you why I stopped doing comedy, stand-up. When I came into the country, I was very excited. I was like, hey, stand-up comedy is a big deal in America. Let me go try and do it in Kenya. And I went broke. I was like, fuck this shit. Wacha nirudi Diani nikaoshe matako. I ain't doing that shit. But now, before I get to these losers, let's start with Moneki. I see you there, Moneki. What's up, Moneki? Yeah, Moneki is one of the oldest people I know. I think the only thing that's going well for you is your wife, right? Every now and then you see him with his wife, looking like a happily married bastard. We know you're cheating on her. Yeah. Oh, there's a guy who was here who is the director of Nairobi Half-Life. Yeah. Josh. Huh? It doesn't matter. Nairobi Half-Life is on the list of movies I will never see. So don't worry about your name, it's not important. And you know, I didn't think that these guys would go this hard on me, including producing that photo. But I want you guys to look at that photo next time you see it. Understand that somebody was taking that photo. And it was another woman, okay? Yeah. Comedians have never been given a threesome. It doesn't happen for them. Comedians are broke. And I wish that we could do something for them, starting with this guy here, like Kisiangani. If there was something we could do, like, I don't know, kuna mtu akona Jordan's origi tupatie umse. Mumusi wana wasiwasi. Mindalipa. But he's actually a very nice guy. He invited me to his podcast in some dingy place in Nairobi West. The guy felt like taking a shit. I went to the loo. I was like, I ain't taking a shit here, you guys. I'm going to live here with disease. I hope this shit works out for you, you know, at least. Then we have the lady of the night. They were wrong that I don't want to fuck you. If like I'm at home in Diani, it's like 8:30, right? Okay, let's call it midnight. 8:30, I'm still sober. Yeah. Who wants to do sober shit? And like, do you disconnect the hair when you're... I don't know what Kikuyus do. I tell you, Wongo, I'm being wasapere ukweli. There is no way you should be dressing like this. You look like you're going to a pre-wedding in 1982, my God. But it's okay. If you're ever in Diani and it's midnight, holla at your dog. Na ujue, ukikam kwangu mimi sikuangi na condoms. Hauna? Now, let's go to this guy, this bootleg Joho. And it's good that you told me that one. I hadn't seen it. The thing that I'd seen first was the brokenness. I was like, oh shit, this career is horrible. Imagine how much work they have to do. This guy has to stand here every day and try and make you laugh. And then go back home. Hakuna fridge. Unaweza fungua fridge iko empty. Hakuna. There's nothing to look forward to. I would suggest you have a great personality. I would suggest utafute job gava. Hiyo achana nayo, hiyo imekataa. Msee nilimsalimia pale, and I was going to say that earlier. And then his hand was wet, right? Eish. Nikajiuliza maswali mengi mno. Msee ukamua nini? But you know, I have a hack for you. You probably are very insecure about that shit, right? You must be. You must be. It's like Nani here, Kisiangani with his dick, you know. Zima lights. So you must be very insecure. So what I would suggest is when you get a woman that you like, do not give her conventional sex. Mpeleke Diani, tafuta pool. Alafu mrudi nyane kwa? Kwa pool. So she won't notice that you're a wet guy. That's a hack, right? That's a life hack. When I looked at this light skin, you know light skin, you would think they've been born in good families. Like they had the money. Happy, squeezy, poor light skins. Now imagine you're a light skin and you're poor and you're sweating. Let me jump this guy and go to the other. Larry Madowo, yes. Another guy who just watches all my content and couldn't get my birthday right. I was born June 1st, 1976. I'm 48 years old, okay? When you said when you grow up, you want to be like? Did you say you want to be like me?
Not want to be.
You don't want to be like me, but you have the uniform. Unajua wanaongea sana, lakini matendo, si unaona? Kitu amekosa ni ile do ya kubai kofia. But if you had money, my brother, life would be very good for you. I mean, like now, you probably are thinking, I want to fuck tonight. You're thinking like that. You're thinking, it is in your head. But unajua, it will remain only in your heart. Because hapa hauna. So hata ukienda kubongo unaenda kusema nini? And then this other idiot in the middle, he invited me for the podcast. You guys remember the podcast we did? And this guy was just there with his mouth open. Hey, Kife, so tell us. He's very curious. He wants to know a lot and he wants to be successful. I would tell you, if you do want to be successful, just drop this shit. Yeah, let's drop this shit. This shit is going nowhere. Comedy in Kenya is dead. Let's say it that way. Comedy in Kenya is dead, and it died because of these guys here. There was one small chance to resurrect it, and you guys killed it tonight. So thank you very much for this useless roast. This guy just throwing almost say, you guys actually think that I get fucked in the ass. That's what you guys are. Those are the jokes these guys are cracking. Na mtamwona Sunday akiwa church na mama yake, hakuna. But here you are telling me that I get fucked in the ass by IQ Watson. For an S550. Mukajua vile nilifanya kazi kuosha marasa ni hiyo gari. Put some respect on the S550. God damn it. One thing I'll say before I go is one of these people here, one of these losers here, got one thing right. That hapa hakuna my type. Mimi my type ni wale wako na ID iko moto. Unajua ID moto? ID iko nini? Moto. Ananiambia niko hapo nje Huduma Center, namwambia nakuja. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what's up. If the